Attention gamers. In classic League of Legends, if you play the teeny weeny wizard and hit your enemies with the hard R, it will hit much harder than what you see in the modern day microtransaction tilting toxic piss fest that we all know and hate today. For starters, his ult scaled harder with the size of his own AP penis, but then instead of being an execute, it also scales with the amount of AP the enemy target has as well. Pair this with a summoner spell that gives you 12 seconds of 100 more AP and an item that buffs all his damage by 20%, and this is what you get. So today we will be playing the Hogwarts Rug Rat in classic League of Legends to see just how insane the most infamous one-shot ability in League of Legends history used to be. So if you are enjoying the throwback to the past and want more classic League videos, please alt the shit out of my subscribe button and let's get into it. Alright, so 2 games I'm gonna show here. The second is where you'll see my build get over that 1000 AP mark, but this first one I wanted to briefly show just to ask if there are any medical professionals out there that can diagnose whatever this Teemo was struggling from. He laned for all of 4 seconds, and then at 1 minute 40 seconds into the game he entered the bushes, where if we speed up literally 2.5 minutes of gameplay, he sat there without doing a single thing. It felt like he had social anxiety or deep levels of autism, and it was rubbing off on me as I had no clue if he wanted me to engage and get shit on before he could come out and spit a single ball out of his season 3 pixelated straw or what. But long story short, laning phase was quite literally 1v2 with a little shithole spectating from the shrubs. Luckily the purple scorpion I ordered off of Etsy arrived relatively early, so I put down the cuck cage, and here is where I learned that Teemo was not indeed AFK. I end up getting credit for the group project of killing Bubble Tits, and then Teemo proceeds to flash and then stand still for 3 seconds to be polite and let me catch up so that I can think he's letting me get the kill before he takes it for himself. Then he assumed battle stance once again, which is the fetal position in the Rift Fescue, but these right-click chicks have discovered the counter to AFK gameplay and it doesn't fare well for him. That said, for being 2 females they were acting pretty cocky, as Bubble Tits over here walked straight into turret range at one point, which was all I needed to push all my buttons in the right sequence to turn the color off on her screen, and then unfortunately Gosu's health bar didn't appreciate the introduction I made between it and my tower, so after that encounter a little flashpoint and click Q, and I proved I didn't even need my Teemo, who was busy pathing mid at this point. He eventually did come back to sit in stealth 3 zip codes behind me while I continued to lane, and it wasn't until my Etsy order arrived again with the plan to drag Tumble Tits into the edge of the pride pen I had set up did he participate in the group homicide. But it turns out I just didn't know this Teemo's game. You see, the real tech in all of this is to see him slip into those shrubs, tab out and find a new episode of Love on the Spectrum to get into, forget his Netflix password, tab back into reposition way behind her, remember his password, log into Netflix, get that shit rolling, tab back in, and proceed to keep sitting in the shrubs while I don't want to engage because their size of the wave crashing into my tower could be classified as a tsunami. But eventually push comes to shove and it turns out he was just patiently waiting for my drunk dick to do something, and in the end it all worked like a charm. I then think, oh fuck me, this entire time it's on me, I just have to be aggressive and pick more fights for him to get the courage to come out of the tall weeds. So I get back to lane and immediately start firing Qs at Gosu on cooldown, only to see him 3 cornfields back rubbing one out, but it doesn't matter because I have a single item at this point, which is enough to diff any marks non-gender specific being at this point. Then Cassidon somehow didn't get banned, which is just about the worst misplay you can make in this version of the game. But when he comes down, this MF thinks grabbing my 4-leaf clover might make her lucky enough to survive, but that plan fails. And where is Teemo, you might ask? Sitting in the shrubs mid lane now. That said, I may have had a reclusive grass fetish introvert as a support, but theirs was arguably worse, as every time I spent any time with her she just insisted on giving me gold, which eventually got to the point where I full-blown started ignoring the fundamentals of the game and getting away with it, and in the end, the enemy team surrendered. So if anyone can diagnose that Teemo, I would appreciate it. But let's get into just how insane this pick can get in the late game. This one I got mid and was reminded about the atrocity that is AP Master Yi. Turns out when you play that champ you can just Q the first minion and I randomly take a shit ton of damage. This I guess works under my tower as well and does 1/5 of my health when he has 0 items. That said, a 9-tailed hottie comes over to Netflix and chill, so I put up my rainbow sex pen just in case she decides to turn the charm on when she's here. A normal human would escape the gank and go home, but Master Yi players are a different breed of sped retard, so he buzzes around trying to get alpha strike resets before I lose my patience and slap my win fight button. But it turns out Ari's man wasn't too happy to hear that she was messing around with another dude when she got home, so they argued, one thing led to another, and now there's an investigation going on to find out why she is dead. But my thought was, if the guy up there states there's no surveillance or cameras, then there's no way he'll see my midget ass hobbling up there, and I was damn right about that. The Foxy cosplayer is then hesitant to go back home because of the pattern of domestic abuse, which is understandable, but I still wouldn't be out here flashing and trying to charm other dudes if it were me, and I just want to remove the source of drama from the situation, so I remove her 8-eyed candy from the equation. Turns out that Sped Jedi doesn't take kindly to getting cock-blocked, so he comes at me hyped up on the booger sugar, and thankfully I'm able to contain him in the quarantine zone where we zap the hormones straight off him. That said, we all want to play League for the old unbalanced bullshit, and I think this definitely fits into that category. Anyways, I head back top because you can hear yelling and things being thrown again, and you can hear Pantheon talking about Cowsap and his pajamas being stupid, and I'm thinking, damn, I need to get up there before things get violent, but it's too late. Arya is dead and Pantheon ends up falling to the remnants of the burning aids she gave him before she passed. Then a lot of people are saying APE isn't broken and it may be easy to counter, but that doesn't make this feel any less terrible to be on the receiving end of. This set a dangerous precedent, as he learned he can now just shove a bunch of pop rocks up his asshole and come flying in like a drugged up coke lord, which made me resort to going to the top ropes and cannonballing straight down onto my win fight button to put him down. I now have the grasp of Deathfire, and even though a 3v1 is a bad way to test its potential, I would say we are getting close to one-shot status with just 2 items. And then right after, I decide to dip my toes into the red side forest because I heard someone clowning around in here, and I'm trying to make a movie for the tube of you, so I can't have any of the nonsense going down. That said, not every encounter with the Jester was as smooth. At one point I got our glitter-titted pixie shit running away from danger, and when I tried to peel I ended up eating a bunch of shit straight down my pie hole, so I had to flash out and wave my clover in that shitter's face for trying to kill me. The Fox abuser is forgetting that this isn't retail League and you can't just turn your brain completely off and split push your way to victory like most top laners get away with now, but I opt into giving the wave a haircut before showing him that I can push all my buttons in all the wrong order while missing half of them and still end up coming out on top the second one of these sky nukes lands on him. Then I had Death Cap, they had an Ezreal, and I had an urge to see if I can do the DFG and one-shot combo yet, and by the looks of it we were close. I just needed to pick a target with slightly more AP, and I knew exactly who that would be. At this point it was just a Nuketown USA festival. I was getting shirts made and I was going to give them out while Ari couldn't even charm her lane husband while standing inside of him. Anytime she would get caught and I would put the cage up, you already know the sky would be shitting down something way more lethal than whatever's in the air from the Canadian fire farts or pesticides in our Taco Bell lettuce. And while it felt like a waste to use my nutbuster combos on the little bitch of a clown, there were times that I had to anyway. Having zero delay on my little pride pen as a long-range stun was taking me back to the days when I used to type an X followed by an N followed by 2 more X's into my mom's computer when she wasn't home, and things were feeling pretty damn nostalgic as I was one-tapping pretty much everyone on the Rift. We pushed into the base, so one more test of me using my Deathfires into hitting the clown with the hard R. And bam, that's what you can expect from playing Season 3 Veigar with Deathfire's Grasp. Let me know who you want to see next and subscribe if you haven't. Rav out.